Hello, everyone. This is Caren Glasser, and welcome to this episode of The Passion Point. This is the show where we follow passionistas from around the world who are actually following their passion and making a living doing what they love. And I know all of us would like to do that as well. And I'm really excited about our guest today. He is the CEO of Agile Search Marketing. His name is Alan Koenigsberg, and he's been in business and serving the San Francisco Bay Area since 2004, so quite a while already. He is Google AdWords certified. I'm sure some people are going, what does that mean? I'm sure we'll touch on that a little bit. And learn search engine optimization, or SEO, through experts like Seth Godin, very cool, and others. His company specializes in content marketing, SEO, and social media. He also specializes in something called reputation management. And that is something we're going to focus on in this conversation today, because I don't think that the majority of the people that are out there in internet land, web land, even understand what it is, let alone how important it is, because what we say is out there forever and ever, and sometimes it comes back to bite us in the butt. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Alan to the Passion Point. How are you today, Alan?
I'm good, Caren. Thanks for having me.
Well, we are delighted to have you, and we're just going to start the show right off with how I always do, a definition of passion. From Webster's Dictionary, passion is, according to them, intense driving or overmastering feeling or conviction. That's what Webster says. What does Alan say? What's passion?
Well, passion to me is really working with the people that I enjoy working with and working collaboratively together and working with clients that I love working with, who love working with me.
Well, it sounds like a whole love fest going on over there. So now this show is about you, and I want to really let our viewers get to know who you are and why what you do is so important for anybody that's in an online business. So let's just jump right in. I mentioned reputation management. What the heck is reputation management?
Well, like you said, Caren, I think reputation management is really important for do-it-yourselfers, for entrepreneurs, for consultants, for executive directors of nonprofits. It really affects all of us. I mean, it's important for the younger generation as well, I think, to understand what reputation management is all about, because their reputation is really on the line every day when they're communicating via social media. So it's really important.
It is important. And I mean, I have, my kids are grown, but even now, I'm constantly saying, don't put that out there. Don't put it on Facebook. Don't put it out there, because when you're looking for a job, they look on social media when they're hiring. The stuff that's out there, you can't grab it back, even if you go on. And let's talk about this, because I think people think that because they delete a post or they delete a picture, it's gone, no problem. Let's talk about that. Is that true?
Well, that's a good question. And it actually comes back to my pre-internet days when I worked for a software company. And the CEO of that company, basically, he's a software developer himself, said data is neither deleted or ever really removed. When you think about it, you can always find that data somewhere. And I think it's the same thing with our reputations and with what we post in terms of images, text, and so on, on the internet. So yeah, we do have to be really careful about it. So
how does somebody find out what their reputation is out there? Is there an easy way to do it? Or how do they know that maybe they have a reputation problem?
Well, that's a great segue into the definition of reputation management. And I have one that I actually borrowed from Wikipedia, and I'll share that with you. And it's a great segue into really how it affects all of us, as well as what we can do to affect our reputation and see where our reputation might be affected either positively or negatively. So I'm just going to read from Wikipedia's definition here. Reputation management is the practice of attempting to shape public perception of a person, business, or organization by influencing online information about that entity or business or organization. It's the influencing or control of an individual or business's reputation. And originally it was a public relations term. Now it's primarily an issue of search results.
Right.
So one of the first places you can look to see what the status is of your reputation is by doing a simple search on one of the major search engines. Just go ahead and do a query, type in your name and see what comes up.
What is your philosophy on that? Do you think people should be doing this on a regular basis?
Yeah, even beyond, I think it's a good idea to take some other steps as well. And we can get into that. I've got actually 8 strategies that people can employ. And this actually has to do with both individual reputation management as well as a company's or an entrepreneur's business reputation as well. So the first is really to look and see, to do an assessment, to see what information is out there and what people are saying about you. And you can do that by doing, like I had suggested, a search on one of the major search engines. And then you can also monitor what's going on an ongoing basis by setting up what's called a Google alert. And you can create a Google alert for your company, for your products, for your top executives. And basically it's plugging in a keyword and Google will go ahead and track that keyword for you. And whenever there's any mention of that keyword, really in anything that comes across the Google search engine, it's going to be emailed. Well, actually, you can log in or you can get emailed the information. So
right.
that's definitely a good
That's number
strategy.
2? That would be number 2?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
The next one is to respond to customer complaints. So we get asked this question a lot. So we're on Yelp. What happens when we get a negative complaint? And it could be really any review site. It doesn't have to be Yelp, but just to throw that one out there. Well, the best thing you can do is to have a protocol, have a strategy for how you're going to respond to customer complaints. And probably one of the best examples I have is a lodge that we actually stayed at up near Yosemite that has standard boilerplate, content that they use every time there's a negative complaint. And even if there's a positive complaint, they have boilerplate. Sometimes they'll customize that content that they respond to, and they actually responded to every single, whether it be a positive review or a negative review. I was really impressed.
What I find is interesting, and people take to Twitter these days when they have a complaint with a customer, right? Or with a company. And I don't like to do that because I don't like to put negativity out there, but I actually did it once about 4 months ago. And it was was a situation that I had 3 days in a row with the same airline. Like they didn't show up and nobody was there for hours. And I did a tweet and literally within, 30 seconds, I had not only a response back, but that airline started following me and told me what to do to get further clarification so that they could help me.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, to that point, for entrepreneurs and small business owners, it's too much to ask to have someone, to hire someone to actually monitor all your social media. Similar to how the airline did in your example.
Right.
But there are a lot of things that we can do that don't cost much, that don't take too much time, that allow us to manage it.
Right.
And so these 8, really fall into that category of what can we do proactively.
Okay.
So
all right.
The next one is ask sites that have incorrect information about you to take down that incorrect information.
Okay. Number 5.
Next one is create social profiles on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google+, YouTube, Tumblr, and Pinterest.
Okay.
I know it sounds like a lot, but these are actually sites that have been proven to really have an impact on your reputation online and on search engine results in general. Mm-hmm. So having a full, complete social profile on each of these sites is going to be really helpful. The next one is create a public relations strategy and use it frequently. So a public relations strategy to a large company is going to mean something different than what a public relations strategy is going to mean to an entrepreneur or to a small business owner. So for a small business owner or for an entrepreneur, a public relations strategy might mean something as simple as sending out a news release in their Constant Contact or their MailChimp software once a quarter. That can then be repurposed and can be disseminated on free public relation submission sites, really all over the internet. So there are some real no cost solutions that can be done in relation to a public relations strategy, even for a small business or an entrepreneur. The next one is create positive postings for the major social media outlets.
The emphasis on positive, right?
Exactly.
Right.
So here, what is important to remember is that you've got really three different manners or ways in which people are saying information about you, or you could be saying information about other people. There's negative, there's neutral, and there's positive.
Right.
So what a good strategy employs using a certain percentage of neutral and a certain percentage of positive. So just keeping that in mind, that there's a difference. There's a differentiation between the two, in this case, a neutral and positive. We all know what negative is about. We're trying to avoid that as much as possible.
How's that working for you, Alan?
Yeah, it's for me personally, it's working out fine so far because I've employed most of these strategies myself. I could be doing a better job. I'm better at telling other people or suggesting to other people what they do. So the next one is create a YouTube channel and populate it early and often. So let's say you have been the recipient of something negative in the press. One of the first things you can do is create a video about it that doesn't necessarily counter what was said in that negative article, that negative newspaper article. But what it can do is shed a positive light on the subject of what it was that was talked about, could or could not mention that particular article. Generally, I don't recommend pointing fingers. So that's an additional strategy that can be used.
With the keywords, and I'm noticing my camera does not appear to be working right now, so I'm the person in black. So, so it allows when you're putting content out there to counteract, like a video, you can still use some keywords that might have been used in the original posting, right? So that your response video shows up.
Exactly.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And is all this that you're talking about, would this be considered reputation repair?
I wouldn't say it's just reputation repair. I would say it's also some of these, certainly some of these strategies fall into that category, but certainly some of them fall into the category of proactive reputation monitoring, management, and maintenance.
So tell me how you got into this. I mean, this subject matter is probably not what people think as exciting. It's pretty, it's technical. And for us geeks, I'm fascinated by the whole thing, quite frankly. I love this stuff. But most people don't even understand it. So how did you did you wake up one day and say, I'm going to go play in the social, the search engine optimization world, and I'm going to do how does this happen?
Right. Well, I did start out in search engine optimization. So in 2004, when I started the company, I was actually working for a small management consulting company at the time, and we took on a client that needed everything. They needed the name of their business, they needed branding, they needed a vision, a mission, a marketing plan, and they needed a way to be visible on the internet. And I was involved and responsible for their search engine optimization component of the marketing plan. And we had fantastic success with it. This was an embedded device manufacturer for ringtones. So the ringtones that go into mobile devices, into cell phones, is what this company was all about. And they ended up at the top of the search engine results. They did really well. And I worked with many other companies after that in this area of search engine optimization, realizing that there's a lot of confusion around the subject. And what better way to create some clarity around it than to start working directly with entrepreneurs and small business owners on a bigger scale. So the business continues to grow. And in the course of that, I occasionally get a phone call from a business whose reputation has been damaged. And in that case, we work with a partner company in Southern California. We're in Northern California. And this company specializes in utilizing some of the same strategies that I just mentioned a minute ago, plus many more, to essentially push down the negative search engine results that are coming up on page one of the major search engines. So they employ a lot of different tactics to push down the negative search engine result, or in some cases there might be 2 or 3 on page one, to push those down and push them off of page one. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 months to do that. Sometimes it can take as long as 6 or 8 months to do that.
So before you go on, let's talk a little bit about page one and what that means. For our viewers who are saying, well, what is that? Pages? There's no pages. It's an internet. It's a browser. What does that mean, right? And why is it so important to be on page one?
Right. Well, let's take Google, for example. Google and the other major search engines, they needed a way to be able to display the results after someone places or enters a search term into their search engine. And what they decided on doing was presenting ads first, presenting local search results second, and presenting organic search results third. And they do that on every page. Every search engine result page follows that same principle. Page one, about 80 to 90% of people who conduct a search, actually I'm not quite sure if the percentage is that high, but it's very high, take action on their results that come from page one, be it an ad, be it a local search result, or be it what's called an organic search result, just to differentiate from the others.
There's a conception that if you're on the first page, you must be much better than everybody else.
Right. And I think that's driven a lot by very large companies who spend a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of money on this. They're working on this every day, and they've got staffs that do this. And it's a primary strategy and goal to be on page one for as many of their important keywords that have to do with the products and the services that they offer. So they want to have as many of those important keywords on page one as possible. So that's their goal.
Yes. So what's the value of video, though? So my understanding is that Google likes video, and there's a tendency to see video also up closer, higher on the pages than other kind of posts. Is that true, or is that just something I'm making up?
Well, video is certainly one of what we call content assets. So it's a good idea to have a mix of different content that gets distributed, and the search engines will pick up those content assets individually. And sometimes they won't pick up the asset individually. Let's say it's a video that you've done on YouTube. Sometimes they won't pick up that individual YouTube video. But however, what they will pick up are the links that are going on and the keywords that are included in the description of that video, and also the content of the video itself, both the title of the video and the content of the video itself, because Google does have the technology and the ability to be able to transcribe every video.
And that's you're playing now in my sandbox. I'm in the digital sandbox, and we tell people how important it is that their title has the keywords in it. I mean, what is it that your video is about? Your description has to have the keywords in it. It has to correspond with whatever the title is, and your keywords have to have the keywords in it, because as you said, and again, my understanding about Google, and maybe with the other search engines, but I'll use Google, is the algorithms are such that they can see that if your title has nothing to do with what's in the description, and there's no keywords, and they're going to say, wait a second, does this even have anything to do with what this person says, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's really critical. So when we're working with our clients, we actually embed and make sure that those keywords are in all of the content assets that are distributed, be it a social media post, be it a YouTube video, be it a press release, be it really anything that a white paper. There's a lot of examples of content assets. Those are a handful of them, just for example. And we work with our clients on including the keywords after doing detailed research and analysis, including those in all of those content assets. It's really important. That would be a takeaway from today that those of you who are listening can take away, is to be cognizant of the importance of that.
What's your thought about hashtags?
Hashtags have become really increasingly important. The whole subject of social media, with respect to what I specialize in, search engine marketing, it really went through a process of convergence about 3 years ago, where there was a recognition by the major search engines that social media was playing a very large and important role in not only in just our daily conversations, but also in terms of disseminating information and sharing information that can be useful from the perspective of really, everybody. When you think about academic institutions, research institutions, businesses, oftentimes we equate social media with just business. But when you think about the population, it's really much greater than that. And Google especially, I follow Google mostly, and they certainly realized that this was something that needed to be included more in their technology, and it actually is just a key part of it. So when we're working with clients, we say there's two key elements to keep in mind as far as the ranking that you're going to end up with on the major search engines. One is the links, the quality of links, and the number of links that you have that are going into your website and out from your website.
Those are called backlinks, right? Those are called backlinks. Okay.
Or external links. And then also what's going on in terms of social media, in terms of how you're connecting. And the word that we use a lot is engagement.
Right.
So it's one thing to have a presence on social media. It's another thing to be engaged. So through the use of hashtags and through the use of other ways of collaborating, based on the specific social media channel, you can do that. You can actually engage. And that's something that Google and the major search engines are now measuring. And it's just a huge component of search engine marketing now.
So let me ask you probably what will be considered a sensitive subject, and that is, there are, like in any profession, there are reputable search engine marketing companies, and there are those who promise you the moon. They take your money and they say, I'm going to get you on the first page tomorrow. How does somebody discern who they should go with, who they should work with? How do you prove that that person really can do what they say they can do? Or if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it must be a duck, and there's no way that somebody can get you on first page tomorrow morning. So how do you discern? How does somebody go to you? How do they make that decision that you are the guy, other than you're obviously very knowledgeable, you're very responsive? Is that basically what it's about? Whoever feels good to you?
Well, a lot of our clients started out working with a company, and the company had an 800 number. They called a representative. They touched bases with that representative maybe once a quarter. They didn't really have a very clear sense of what was going on, though. And they were receiving reports, say on a weekly or a monthly basis. And when the reports didn't make a lot of sense to them, or they had questions about the report, again, they had to get on the phone and call someone. Hopefully they got through to that person, and that person wasn't on vacation, and they got someone else who didn't know their account as well. So we've actually had a lot of our clients migrate from those services to ours, just because we put such an importance on what we call high touch versus high tech. So it's essentially a model in which we are proactive in contacting our clients and letting them know that there's someone there that they can ask questions, and letting them know that there's someone there who can be on their team and collaborate with them and
be responsive.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't speak to all the companies that are out there and all the claims. I know there's a lot out there, and it really belies the point that there is a lot of confusion, because there are so many companies out there that are making claims that they can, a lot of claims that they can game the system and get you to a top position, when we've had companies contact us who hired a company to do exactly that, and then it came back to bite them because they got penalized by Google in one client case, where Google had penalized them because they had hired a company just to get them thousands and thousands of links of exactly what we were talking about, these backlinks or external links, and a lot of them were really not good links to have, and these were not legitimate websites, and they weren't legitimate companies that were linking back to them. And Google is smart enough now to know that, and so the client, the site, was penalized, and it was our job to help fix the problem.
And that saves the day, because I know how as a business owner, when something like that happens, you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? And so it's nice to know that we have reputable people out there like yourself that can do this. And I know you have an offer for our viewers. Why don't you let them know, since I am not on camera, so I'm going to let you talk as much as you want so that I don't have a black screen up here. Let's
Sure.
talk about that.
Okay. So our most popular search engine marketing package is, would normally cost 2 or 3 times as much elsewhere. And just like Caren and I were just talking about, sometimes the promises can be a little too high. For the past 2 years, we've offered our managed search engine marketing package at an affordable price for small businesses, and it allows the package price to be spread into affordable monthly amounts. And what we're offering for those who are watching this Spark It Network video is a 5% discount off of that regular low monthly fee that we can set up for clients. And the other option is to go with our full price package and get a discount off of that. But I would say the vast majority of our clients really like to pay monthly. It's more affordable. It's easier. You've got someone on your team to manage your, what we call your campaign, and we're there. We're there when you need us, and
Right.
We're working collaboratively with you.
Well, what I can say about you, Alan, and I want my viewers to know is, you and I have been speaking for several months. We actually met on LinkedIn, a social media platform, and I encourage people to, go to these platforms and have a presence there. And I'm sure that's why we ended up connecting, because we have presence there. Alan is the real deal. He really is. He's as nice as he seems. He's not going to give you a load of you-know-what. And I really encourage you to, give the information will be right below in the run sheet. Go ahead and get in touch with Alan. See what he can do for you, what his company can do for you, what agile search marketing can do for you, and just do it. Don't let the fear of the unknown and not understanding any of this get in the way of finding out what you can do to get more visibility in the right way and protect your reputation. I wanted to do one more thing, and that was, because we're running out of time, and that was our favorite quote. I like to talk about quotes every week, and so my favorite quote for the week it's from E.M. Forster. He's an English novelist, and he says, "One person with passion is better than 40 people merely interested." I love that. I totally love that. Do you have a favorite quote?
I'd say, my favorite quote, is really just do it. I know it sounds old and cliche, but, taking action can be one of the hardest things to do.
As I just said, just do it.
Yeah.
Get in touch with it. Just do it. And I love that. It's Nike, isn't that? Just do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Alan, I really want to thank you for being on with us today. I'm a little frustrated by my black screen, but again, you know what? We're professionals. We just go with the flow. I will definitely have you back on when we can have a further conversation about this. Thank you for being on. And I want to thank all of our viewers. We know that you have a choice as to how to spend your time, and we want to thank you for spending time with us today. So we'll see you next time in the next episode of The Passion Point. Goodbye, everyone.